You know how some towns just seem to have a lot of paranormal activity?
Yeah.
Maybe we should tell them about the first town we went to that was like that.
What do you mean, Zoar Village?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello there, Parapeeps, and welcome to another episode of Our Haunted Travels. I am your host, Sean Donnelly.
I'm your co-host, Marianne Donnelly.
In this video, we're going to tell you about our trip to Zoar Village. That was a long time ago, back in 2012.
That's right.
But we have an interesting story to share with you about this location. Right?
Sure.
But before we get into that, if you're into the paranormal history and forensic type videos,
don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ding the little bell so you'll hear from us next time we post a new video.
Zoar Village was actually the very first location that we took people with us on a bus tour for Dark Shadow Ghost Tours.
Yes, we didn't do an investigation so much as a tour of the town.
We did an actual ghost tour that was put on by the historians at Zoar Village.
That's right.
So, which is some of the coolest things. We've said it, I don't know how many times you go into a city or you go into a little town or you go to a location where the historians actually put on the ghost tours and tell you the stories. Very cool. That's where you find out some true information about these places. Things that's happened that it's not for the family tour. Right. Well, it depends on your family.
That's true.
Stole that joke. Sorry. But
oh, okay.
Obviously, it's the first time you heard it.
Uh-huh.
So, yes, Zoar Village. This is Panic D number 1245 in the database. It's located at 198 Main Street, Zoar, Ohio. That might be the address for, like, the general store, I think. I think it is. It says open to the public unknown. It is open to the public. You can go to their website. They offer different tours and, things like that. It's ran by the Historical Society. A lot of the buildings are there, but there are buildings that are there that was part of the village that are privately owned. So you have to be aware of that. This has been in the database for some time. 1245, that's one of the earlier numbers. All right, so we rambled on here a little bit. Watch this video about the history of Zoar Village, and we'll be right back.
Zoar Village was founded in 1817 by a group of approximately 200 German dissenters seeking escape from religious persecution in their homeland of Germany. They thrived as a unique communal society for more than 80 years, making Zoar Village one of the most successful communal settlements in American history. On April 19th of 1819, they organized the communal society, the Society of Separatists of Zoar, which operated until 1898, when the group disbanded. They thought that the church should be simple and bereft of all ceremony. They emphasized a mystical and direct relationship with God. They even named their settlement Zoar after the biblical town to which Lot fled after fleeing Sodom. A man named Joseph Bimler led the society. He was a pipe maker and a teacher. He and the others first went to Pennsylvania. There, Quakers helped them to find jobs and eventually loaned them money to buy land in eastern Ohio. The loans were to be paid off by 1830. The land they had purchased was 5,500 acres of land in Ohio that they had never seen. But they traveled west to their land, which was along the Tuscarawas River. Originally, there were no plans to form a communal society, but the harshness of the winter of 1818 to 1819 caused them to think differently. As a communal society, each member of the group agreed that their property and future earnings would become common stock in the society. All property and wealth were pooled, and they were held by the Society of Separatists of Zoar. Each member was to follow the decisions of the society's trustees, and in return, they received food, clothing, and shelter. both men and women had equal political rights in the community, and thus every adult member of the community signed the original document, even the women. In fact, women were not even prohibited from holding office in the society, although no women were ever elected to these positions. Now, the children of Zoar, between the ages of 1 and 3, were at home with mom and dad. But between the ages of 3 and 14, they no longer were living with their parents. They lived in separate nurseries away from their families so that their mothers could continue to work in the community. As soon as they were old enough, they went to school and were expected to work for the society themselves. Beginning in 1822, the community briefly experimented with a period of celibacy, as there was a concern that the population might grow too rapidly for Zoar's economic resources, and women were needed to work in the fields. The practice was, however, abandoned in 1830. For the next several years, the Zoarites struggled to determine what products and services they could produce to pay off their loan to the Quakers. That is, until the state of Ohio needed some of their land for a right-of-way for building the Ohio and Erie Canal in 1825. They offered the society an opportunity to assist in digging the canals for money. The state gave them the choice of digging it themselves for pay or having the state pay others to dig the canal. The Zoarites agreed to work for the pay, and over the next several years built 7 miles of the Ohio and Erie Canal, including 4 locks just southwest of the village, which, by the way, you can take a canal boat on yet today. In any case, when their work was completed in 1828, they earned $21,000, which allowed the society not only to settle its debt, but to have money to spare. As construction of the village began, the buildings were subsequently numbered in the order that they were built. Many of the original buildings are still completely original, and in fact, the number 1 house is still part of the village. At its height, the village contained a church, communal bakery, tin shop, blacksmith shop, furniture shop, weaving and sewing houses, a pottery, several mills including multiple flour mills, a woolen mill, and a planing mill, as well as a brewery, a large ornamental garden with greenhouse, a town hall, a general store, and private and communal residences. There were barns and stables on the outskirts of town, and the society owned 4 of their own canal boats. There were also orchards, vineyards, and gardens, and 2 blast furnaces. They also had a general store and eventually a hotel in the center of Zoar that would cater to visitors. They also maintained a religious aspect to Zoar by having a central flower garden that was based on the Book of Revelation, where there was a towering tree in the middle that represented Christ and other elements that surrounded it representing other allegorical elements. By the mid-19th century, the community had become self-sufficient and prosperous. They had accumulated more than $1 million in assets. But on August 31st of 1853, the village leader, Joseph Bimler, died. This led to a slow decline in the village as the society's original goals began to deteriorate. Over time, many additional Zoar residents died, and the younger generation, without any memories of persecution back in Germany or the society's early struggles, led to even more disenchantment in the communal life, especially with the influences of all the visitors to the area. By 1898, the village voted to disband the communal society, and the property was divided among the remaining residents. Afterward, the town of Zoar continued to exist as a small community in rural eastern Ohio, and in 1969, most of the community was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It was also designated a National Historic Landmark District in 2016. Today, Much of the village's early layout survives and is made up of approximately 75 families living in homes built from 1817 to the present. And Zoar's big public garden? It's preserved and maintained as it was in the 1800s. The Ohio Central Connection and the Zoar Community Association manage the historic district, which is a 4-block square today, including several dozen historic buildings, both publicly and privately owned, dating back to 1817. Several of the public buildings provide interpretive tours and demonstrations, and the town has seasonal festivals held throughout the year.
Yeah, this place was pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's really cool to be able to roam around those places in the dark at night. And
We're going to have to go back.
oh, absolutely.
Knowing what we know now. Oh, yeah. 2012. I can't believe it was that long ago that we were there.
I know. It's been quite a while.
Well, hey, in this video, Boris wants to chime in. He's got some stuff to tell you, too.
Of course he does.
All right, so for some of the paranormal reports and activity, we're going to turn it over to our buddy Boris back there. So go ahead, Boris. Take it away. We'll be right back. Yes, in fact, Zoar Village has an abundant list of paranormal reports I would like to share. From the apparition of a man searching for his brother that was lost during the Civil War, to the sounds of a party taking place within the hotel, reports of paranormal activity surround the village, as if those who founded the village has decided to either not leave or come back to a place that they enjoyed while here on Earth. In fact, Chris Woodyard of the Haunted Ohio book series stated that this was one of the spookiest places she had ever been in Ohio, my friends. So let me list some of the reports of otherworldly activity that takes place. Let's start with the Zoar Hotel. 3 ghosts are said to haunt the hotel of this historical village. Alexander Gunn, Mary Wolf, and an unknown woman are said to still be present. A ghostly party can sometimes be heard on the hotel's top floor. The sounds of glasses clinking and people talking can be heard when no one else is in the building. And once someone enters, the sound stops. Next, there is the Zoar Tavern. This building was once home to the village's first doctor. Many ghostly activities are known to occur in all parts of the tavern, including eerie shadows, moving and missing objects, and phantom footsteps. Let's move on to the Cedar Mills Bed and Breakfast. This was formerly a cabinet shop. A worker in the mid-1800s reported that the ghost of a Native American visited him. Giving accurate predictions about the Civil War, the ghost predicted the outcome of the Battle of Gettysburg and President Abraham Lincoln's assassination. It is not known if the Native American still visits the building. Now, my friend, let's move on to the cobbler shop. The ghostly figure of a man wearing a long, dark coat is said to haunt this 1800s building, where shoes were made for the Society of Separatists of Zoar. Now a bed and breakfast, guests report hearing unexplained knocking on the doors and ghostly footsteps in the hallway. Then there is the bookstore. This building is said to be haunted by a ghost of a tinsmith who once lived there. The aroma of coffee is often detected when no coffee is being made. The ghost often rocks back and forth in a rocking chair and has been known to tuck in the store's owners at night. Then there is the ghostly voice of a man named PJ in the Cowger house. Sometimes he can be heard in this bed and breakfast late at night. He is believed to be the former owner of the house. There are also reports at the inn on the river, my friends. A ghost by the name of George is sent to haunt this inn, knocking objects from shelves and causing other mischief. It is believed that he died when his boat sank in the canal. The mysterious sound of Patsy Cline music can be heard, even though there are no Patsy Cline records in the building. Lastly, my friends, there is the Zoar School Inn Bed and Breakfast. In this building, objects mysteriously move, and dog kibble is found in strange places throughout the building. Some have reported hearing the sound of furniture moving upstairs when no one is on the second floor. Why are there so many documented paranormal reports in and around this village? Is it possible that these spirits of former residents who have come back to the village? Or could these be residual visions of the past? Either way, my friends, the next time you are in Central Ohio, make it a point to stop and pay a visit at Zoar Village. All right, some interesting stuff. There's more too that he doesn't talk about because it just goes on and on and on and on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the whole town.
The whole town. Yeah. So personal experiences. Do you remember?
I know, it's been so long. I do remember walking around the places, to the different buildings, and they had the people dressed up in the costumes, for those time periods, and it just kind of adds to the effect of being there. And we got to go in the buildings in the dark. It's just really cool. And then of course, the garden, that was really awesome. And just the number of orbs that we picked up, theoretically. I know orbs are a contingency thing, but just so many orbs in so many places in that town.
And
it's kind of hard
too.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to imagine that they were all dust or all bugs. Or
there's definitely something there. And then in the number one building where we experienced those breezes coming by us, it felt like the air conditioning was turning on and off, and the building doesn't have air conditioning. Because I mentioned that to the tour guide. I remember, I was like, wow, this air conditioning is pretty. We don't have air conditioning. You just walk down the hallways and you feel this breeze, this boom, fly by you. And then one of the buildings, and we were talking about it before we started recording, we can't remember if it's the number one building or one of the other basements where we all experienced that smell of smoke. And we experienced that, and it was like on cue, so that was kind of interesting too. Okay, well, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, not really.
No? We're going to wrap it up?
I think so.
I think we were long enough. All right, folks, till next time.
Thanks for watching.
And happy hunting. Let us know if you like this video by hitting that thumbs up. Also, if you'd like to see more videos from us in the future, support our channel by hitting that subscribe button and dinging that bell so you get notified the next time there's a video from Panic D Videos.
Thanks for watching.
Happy hunting.